Heading into this one, I thought Shavkat Rakhmonov was going to absolutely dominate Ian Machado Gary, and I don't think I was alone. Many fans and pundits likely shared that sentiment, and Vegas certainly did, as Rakhmonov entered as a more than 4-1 favorite. It wasn't that I viewed Gary as a scrub, far from it. While I hadn't been overwhelmed by his performances, his talent is evident. My belief in Rakhmonov's supremacy was rooted in the idea that he was an unstoppable force. The 18 straight finishes had created this aura of invincibility, painting him as an eater of worlds, sent to dismantle the welterweight division with ruthless efficiency. The mystique surrounding him was undeniable. But after last night's performance, that image has shifted. Rakhmonov looked very human against Gary. The first 2 rounds, while he won them, were hardly dominant. He edged them because every round must have a winner, not because he overwhelmed his opponent. The 3rd round went to Gary, and in the 5th, Rakhmonov was in genuine danger, grappling with submission attempts that could have turned the tide. Joe Rogan didn't outright say it, but he seemed to view one of those choke attempts as the only truly significant action of the entire fight. By pride rules, you could argue Gary would have walked away with the win. At the very least, this fight reshaped my expectations. Ian Machado Gary showed he's far better than I had assumed. Given the widespread belief that he was about to get steamrolled, he scored what many might call a moral victory. Meanwhile, Rakhmonov's win, though official, felt anything but definitive. It wasn't a statement win, it was a technicality. I doubt anyone is looking at Belal Muhammad and thinking he dodged a bullet anymore. In fact, after last night's fight, many might consider it fortunate that Rakhmonov didn't get a title shot earlier. That's not to say Rakhmonov can't become champion, he absolutely can. His skill level is undeniable. But am I as confident as I was that he would steamroll Muhammad? Not at all. If you made me put my money on one of them right now, I'd lean toward the champ to retain. This isn't a case of Rakhmonov being exposed as a fraud, but more of a necessary recalibration of expectations. He was being heralded as a generational talent, someone who could dominate for years like Fedor Emelianenko, and that vision doesn't feel as certain anymore. Unfortunately, the flyweight division continues to suffer from a lack of fan interest, no matter how high quality the product is. Pantoja's dominance has left the division in a difficult spot. He's beaten Royval and Moreno multiple times already. Are we going to slot Kai Kara France in there just because it feels like a fresh matchup, even though we likely know the outcome? The fact that many are clamoring for Demetrius Johnson to come out of retirement to face him says everything about the division's current state. It feels like flyweight is always on the brink of being disbanded, no matter how good the fights are. The card as a whole felt underwhelming, especially for a pay-per-view meant to close out the year. On paper, it looked like one for the hardcore fans, something that wouldn't entice the casual viewer away from college football or other entertainment. Even for the dedicated fans, it fell flat. We've already discussed why the headliners didn't deliver, but the rest of the card didn't pick up the slack either. Cyril Gane and Marcin Tybura delivered a solid but forgettable fight. Heavyweight remains in a state of disarray, with 2 champions, neither of whom dethroned Francis Ngannou, the lineal champion of the division and arguably the sport. Bryce Mitchell's slam elbow combo KO over Kron Gracie was surprising, especially considering it was Mitchell's first KO win and the first time Gracie had been stopped. It earned Mitchell the Saku Award for innovation, but the fight itself didn't live up to its potential. Doo Ho Choi vs Nate Landwehr looked like a potential fight of the year contender on paper but turned into a dominant win for Choi with little drama. The prelims had their moments, but overall, the event failed to capture the excitement we expect from a marquee UFC pay-per-view. It's no surprise that the UFC offered it at a discounted holiday price of $70. Statistically, the event had 14 fights, with 5 knockouts, 4 submissions, and 5 decisions, totaling 2 hours, 37 minutes, and 2 seconds of cage time. Betting favorites prevailed in 10 of the matchups, while 4 underdogs managed to secure victories. Bryce Mitchell's KO was a massive plus 2,200 underdog play, if anyone had the foresight to bet on that specific outcome. Shavkat Rakhmonov, previously unbeaten in decisions, saw the judges for the first time in his career, while Ian Machado Gary lost his undefeated record. Alexander Pantoja earned the 4th rear naked choke finish of his UFC career, solidifying his position as one of the best submission artists in the sport. With this card in the books, 2024's UFC pay-per-view events are officially done. The year ends on a whimper rather than a bang, with just a few fight nights left to keep fans entertained until 2025. Here's hoping those deliver some excitement. As always, thank you to everyone who's followed along this year. Your support means everything. Let me know your thoughts on UFC 310 in the comments. Was it as underwhelming as it seemed, or were there bright spots I overlooked? Let's discuss.